The night was
Is
cold,
it
the
bad?
kind that
I
seeps
think
through your
so,
jacket and
but we'll
settles
figure it
deep in
out.
your bones.
Together?
A luxury car sat broken on the side of a quiet road, its glossy surface reflecting streetlights like a mirror. Inside that silence, one small act of kindness was about to reopen a chapter from the past that neither of them had ever truly forgotten. Sometimes, life brings two people together not by chance, but by unfinished stories. This is one of those moments where kindness becomes the bridge between who we were and who we are meant to be. Before we dive into the story, take a moment to support the channel. Subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps MS Tales bring more heartfelt stories like this to life. David Miller wiped the grease from his hands and glanced at his watch. It was almost midnight. The small auto repair shop where he worked during the day was closed, but David often stayed late fixing cars for neighbors who couldn't afford expensive repairs. Every extra dollar mattered. He was a single dad with a 10-year-old daughter, Lily, waiting for him at home, probably asleep with her homework tucked under her pillow. That night, David was packing up when his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something told him not to. Hello, he answered. A calm but strained female voice replied. I'm stranded just outside town. My car won't start. I was told you're the best mechanic around. David hesitated for only a second. He was tired, and tomorrow was another long day. But he thought of Lily, and of all the times strangers had helped him when life felt impossible. I'll be there, he said. When David arrived, he immediately recognized the car. It was a top-of-the-line luxury sedan, the kind most people only see in commercials. Standing beside it was a well-dressed woman in a long coat, her heels sinking slightly into the gravel. Thank you for coming so late, she said, offering a polite smile. No problem, David replied. Let's see what's going on. He popped the hood and worked quietly, his hands moving with confidence. The woman watched him, arms crossed, clearly not used to being stranded or waiting on the side of the road. My assistant usually handles things like this, she said softly, almost embarrassed. David nodded. Cars don't care who you are. They break down on everyone. She let out a small laugh. That's true. As David worked, he noticed her watching him more closely now, not his hands, but his face. There was something in her expression, like recognition mixed with disbelief. Can I ask your name? She said. David, he replied. David Miller. Her breath caught. Just for a second. David didn't notice, but her hands tightened around her coat. He finished the repair and closed the hood. It was a loose connection. You're good to go. She reached into her purse. How much do I owe you? David shook his head. Honestly, it was a simple fix. Just pay me what you think is fair. She studied him, clearly unused to that answer. She handed him a generous amount of cash. More than fair. Thank you, she said. Then, almost in a whisper, she added, David, from Oak Ridge High? He froze slowly. He looked up at her face. The streetlight illuminated her eyes, and suddenly, the years fell away. Emily, he said, Emily Carter. Now Emily Carter Reynolds. CEO of a major tech company. A woman whose name appeared in business magazines and news headlines. And once, a long time ago, the girl who had sat next to him in chemistry class, I knew it was you, she said, her voice trembling. I recognized your eyes. They stood there in silence, the past rushing in like a wave. Back then, David had been the quiet kid who fixed bikes and old radios. Emily had been brilliant, driven, and kind, but life hadn't been easy for her either. They'd been close once. Very close. Until graduation day, when Emily left town chasing big dreams, and David stayed behind to take care of his sick father. I tried to find you, Emily said softly. After my first company took off. I went back to Oak Ridge, but you were gone. David smiled sadly. Life happened. My dad passed. Lily's mom left when Lily was a baby. I focused on surviving. Emily's eyes filled with tears. You always took care of everyone else. David shrugged. Someone had to. She looked at him then, not as a CEO, not as a powerful woman, but as someone who remembered the boy who once fixed her broken watch for free because he said time was too important to waste. Get in, she said suddenly. Let me give you a ride home. David hesitated, then nodded. The drive was quiet at first, filled with unspoken memories. Finally, Emily spoke. She said, I never forgot your kindness. You were the first person who ever believed in me. David smiled. You didn't need me to believe in you. You were always going places. She shook her head. I needed someone who saw me when I was just a scared kid. That was you. When they reached David's modest apartment, Emily looked at the building, then back at him. Come work for me, she said. I need someone honest. Someone real. David laughed gently. Emily, I fix cars. I'm not corporate material. I don't care, she replied. I care about character. David thought of Lily, of the nights he worried about bills, about her college someday. I'll think about it, he said. A week later, Emily visited his shop. Not in a suit, but in jeans. She met Lily, listened to David's story, and insisted he take a role managing operations for her company's vehicle division. David accepted, not because of the money, but because Emily never talked down to him. She remembered where they both came from. Months later, David stood in a new office, a framed photo of Lily on his desk. He still fixed cars on weekends for neighbors who needed help. He never forgot who he was. One evening, as the sun set, Emily stopped by his office. She said with a smile, if you hadn't answered that call, none of this would have happened. David nodded. Kindness has a funny way of coming back around. She whispered his name again, softer this time. Not from the past, but from the present, and in that moment, both of them understood something powerful. Kindness doesn't disappear. It waits. It travels through time. And when it returns, it often brings healing, opportunity, and hope with it.so. If you're ever tired, if you're ever wondering whether your small acts matter, remember this story. You never know whose life you're touching, or how your kindness might one day change your own, because kindness, no matter how small, always finds its way back.